Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to our YouTube podcast. Have you got your cup of tea? I've got a nice gingerbread latte here. Sylvia is our guest today. Hello, Sylvia.
Hi, hello everyone.
So tell us, what have you got to drink?
I've got a latte, an ordinary latte.
You sure it's not gin?
No, not gin.
Not today, not today.
Maybe sherry.
Love it. So many people may not know who you are. So would you like to tell everybody who you are?
Okay, my name's Sylvia Stratford. I live in Croxley Green, which is in Rickmansworth near Hertfordshire. Most probably the best place to sort of point to people is Watford, and you come out of there and you come to Croxley Green. I'm married. I've been married longer than I care to remember. Put it this way, you get less than that for murder. So yeah, and we don't have children, that's by choice. And I have lots of nephews, nieces, godchildren, so they count as my children, but the good thing is you can actually give them back at the end of the day.
Love it. Love it. So you work for me, or with me. I don't like the term "work for" because you don't. If anything, I work for you.
We work together.
Oh, you're amazing. So I'm going to do this at the very beginning because I don't think you get told this enough. I, as a business owner, it is very hard to find people who want to embrace your business and support your business and work the way you have worked. My God, you have given your heart and soul to this business. And 1000%, the only reason this has been a success is because of the love and care that you have given. So from me to you, I just want to thank you in front of everybody that you are the reason I keep doing this. There are very few women who've inspired this journey, and you are one of them. And thank you from the bottom of my heart. You really are amazing.
Thank you. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love it. I couldn't believe my luck coming along to quiltering, being involved in the wonderful world of crafting journey and the Bargello, and then you advertised your part-time vacancy, and I was like, oh, you know, and that's where it all started, really, for me.
And for me, it was the best thing we could have done. You've been amazing. So thank you very much for that. It really is.
You were going to do this.
Well, I know, that's why I didn't tell you.
It's not on my list.
You're not on your list, exactly. No, but honestly, from the bottom up, because between us, we've managed to win awards. We've worked our socks off, and we've done a hell of a lot in a very short space of time, and mostly because of you.
It's been last year, even though it was one of the most difficult years for everybody, was a very special year.
It really was.
And I'm thankful for that, because it would have been a pretty bleak time without that. But it's just such a lovely thing to do, and I just love it. I absolutely love it, and I miss it so much, and just want lockdown to be over and everybody to be vaccinated and able to get back to some kind of normality. And I want to be back there.
I know, and you will be. You will be. It's not going to be.
I will.
It really won't.
But when it's safe.
Exactly. And it is about safety and making sure, because I couldn't care less about, for me, it's about you girls. You girls are all that. You're the only reason the business works.
To be fair, that's what you've always said as well. So, and
well, I closed the business 3 weeks before everybody else did. I said, there's no way I'm not having customers in here at a risk. I'm luckily young and healthy and don't have any underlying, well, I do have some underlying health conditions, but it would be mortified if anybody caught anything or did anything that happened here. It just, we try so hard, and poor Jo can't keep a bloody antibacterial wipe down without, every time you go, she's like wiping everything down as you go. You're like, Jo, you can do it at the end of an hour. You don't have to do it after every single step.
I know, but I must admit I'm a bit like that.
Quite right, though. Quite right.
When I'm in the studio, the first thing I do when I arrive, after I've done the bins and all those kind of sort of things.
You do the bins. I never figured out who did that, because they're just piling up now.
And I always used to, once I came back in, was use the anti-bac wipes on the door handles and then sort of have a quick wipe round. So yeah.
No, you do that all the time. How long have you been quilting for?
I was trying to work it out earlier, and I think it must be in the region of about 25 plus years, but that's not been consistent. because I had a break from sewing and I went into a lot of paper crafting, card making. I was very involved in a company where I was like a rep for a company, which is a well-known company. And so I did a lot of that for a long time. And then I started sewing again, and now I just can't stop. It just takes up my whole day and it keeps my mind very occupied, which I think we all need at the moment. So yeah, so it's quite a long time.
Because you
But
sew a multitude of things as well. It's not just quilting for you, isn't
no,
it?
that's right. When I learnt sew actually when I was at school, and then when I was growing up, I used to make a lot of my own clothes. I made curtains and things like that. And my mum actually was an industrial machinist, so I've always been around sewing machines. So yeah, I think you know, I've just sewn what seems forever, but not, as you say, not always huge quilts. You know, I like smaller projects because you get them finished and they're gone.
So are you implying that it was my influence on your larger quilt projects?
I think you had an influence because I've made quilt tops. I love the making of the tops. I hate the quilting part. And you may remember one of the first quilts that you quilted for me, where I started to machine quilt it, and then I tried to hand quilt it, and I was going to throw it in the bin.
Well,
And
I
you,
do remember that piece because if I'm not mistaken, that did arrive here in a bin bag.
it did, but I had taken all the quilting out. I have got it here, and you then quilted it for me, and putting the binding on it. I have actually having it finished after it's sitting for, oh, I don't know how many years, was just a revelation. And I think from there, knowing that I had someone that I knew and trusted and could finish things so well made a huge difference. And since then, I think you've quilted quite a few quilts for me.
I
So
have been quite busy with quilting, I won't deny. But can we see the quilt you're talking about?
yes, yeah, I have it here on the floor.
The story of that poor quilt, it spent so much time on the floor.
It's quite a big one, and it's a stack and whack, but it's different to the stack and whack you showed us. So I did find this quite troublesome. And as you can see, if I hold it a bit closer, there's not a lot of colour variation in it. So it's blues, mauves, and then the green background. But what you did with the quilting, you may remember you custom quilted this for me. Is
I
just
think you were the first quilt I ever custom
yeah,
quilted, and I
and
still think it's the worst one I've ever done, but it did really work now that I'm looking at it.
and
The
you
problem with the problem with the recording is while I was talking, you were showing it up. Because of that, you're going to need to show it again and talk because
sorry,
obviously people
sorry,
can't see it otherwise because of
okay,
the quilting on there is
yeah,
so, if you show from the back as well, it really
yeah.
shows.
So this is the quilt that I made, and it's a different stack and wax to the one that you were showing me since then. I struggled with this stack and wax. It was very involved, very complicated. And then you quilted it for me, custom quilted it, and it's just beautiful. I love the back, I think, more than the front. And I remember you quilting this on Matilda, and you kept video calling me and saying, "It's awful, it's horrible, I hate it, I don't like it." And I was saying, "No, no, it looks great, it looks great." And I was just so chuffed with it. And to actually finish that quilt, I think just opened me up to doing more.
Well, I think as well, we all have these projects that we've got lined up. Like over my head over here, you can all see these
Yeah.
boxes, and you can tell I'm very good at this whole staging my situation. I just chuck some fabric over there. I'm so good at this. It's just dreadful, but it's real because all of our sewing rooms look like this. Those are all UFOs. All I can't do this backwards thing there. Those are all UFOs in those boxes. I've got hundreds of them. But for you, being able to finish a UFO, it just feels so good, especially when you actually do use it afterwards.
Yeah. Well, it sits on my spare bed, and my cat sleeps on it. So
You're
it
not
doesn't,
alone, though. I know many people do make quilts that end up being used by their
yeah,
cats. I love
but
that.
at least it's out, it's being used, and it took me ages to unpick it, because as I say, there was a whole difference of sewn machine quilted and hand quilted, and I was thinking, but I persevered, and I'm so pleased that I did. So
Oh am I.
yeah.
So, all right, now I know you've gotten a lot better at your UFOs, because at the moment, what I'm trying to do is, because we're all in lockdown in the UK, we're in January 21, we're all in lockdown, and we're trying to make sure that we don't go insane, because lockdown 2.0, I think, is a lot harder than
Yeah.
lockdown 3.1, first one. But now I think a lot more people are going through their UFOs and trying to finish them. And I know I'm encouraging people over the next 4 or 5 weeks to finish 5 UFOs. How many UFOs have you got at the minute?
Well, actually, I didn't think I had that many until we were talking the other day, and I looked up and saw on my shelf a UFO box. But
Sorry,
I don't.
Sylvia. Sorry. I love you dearly, and I'm not going to let you get away with that. Did you say one UFO box?
Well, I didn't look in the other one. So I'm going to say no more than 15.
15? I can think of at least 4.
No, 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 no. No. And actually I got rid of one because when you saw it, you said you liked it. So that's here for you to go.
Oh, brilliant. Yay!
Another one for your boxes, I think.
Oh my gosh, how can the phone go? It's Sat. Oh, it's Friday. Sorry.
Oh dear.
So your UFOs, you're saying you've got one there for me now?
Yes, that's the one that I used, the hand dyed materials, the oranges.
They're
And
coming to me.
yes, you said you liked it, so I was just
Gorgeous. I'm looking forward to that. Good.
yes.
Do you do more machine sewing or more hand sewing?
I think you know my views on hand sewing, but no, I machine sew because I'm quite impatient. I have got a hand sewn project that I've been working on for a number of years. 4 of us had the same pattern. We went and bought the fabric at the same time. The other 3 people have all finished theirs and had them finished for about 3 years. Mine is still a work in progress. So
Is it a PhD project half done?
I don't think it's actually half done yet. It's the PQD, project quarter done. But I do need to finish it because it is lovely. It's an applique project, and there's a lot of work gone into it. So I do need to finish it, but it's just a question of when.
Well, speaking of projects half done, talk to me about that stack and whack behind you. Because obviously going
Ah,
from that blue stack and whack that you
yeah,
started with to that.
quite different. This is the second work that we did with yourself, and the fabric is all fish orientated. My husband and I used to dive. We can no longer dive, and I was making this for Christmas this year, but I haven't actually finished it yet because I want to piece the back as well. So I hope when we do the retreat at the end of January that I might get a spare on this. So, but the way you taught this stack and whack was so much easier than the one I showed you previously. And it's just incredible because you have a piece of fabric, and by cutting it, you get these incredible designs. And by looking at it, you just wouldn't think it was the same piece of fabric.
Do you perhaps have a piece of the original fabric with you there? You knew I was going to ask that, didn't you?
Should I tell you where it is? It's actually in the box, holding up my So yes, I do, but can I get to it? No, I can't.
Well, apparently, if you send me a picture of it, I can use some fandangled system now where right now, you'll get a picture of what the fabric looked like before. And then if I get even better at this, which I don't know if I will, we can then superimpose, let's see if I got it right, pictures of the actual blocks is what it looks like.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll get onto that later on then when I've moved my filming setup.
That's, of course, assuming my technology expertise have advanced that well. Now, talk to me. Do you belong to any other quilting groups?
Any other quilting groups?
or any
Um,
quilting groups?
well, I belong to your group. When we used to do quiltering before lockdown, pre-lockdown, that was my sort of way back into quilting, really, within a group of people. Um, Prior to that, I used to belong to, remember, Patchwork Corner in Hemel Hempstead. We did a group there, but that closed down, and my work pattern changed as well. And then I joined Hemel Hempstead Quilters, and I was with them for quite some time. But then I sort of stepped away from quilting for quite some time. So, and I was doing a lot of project liners quilts, and I used to do that with a friend or a couple of friends, and so we made quite a lot of those. And then I came along to quilting. So now the only one I really belong to is your um, retreat group, where we're meeting by Zooms at the moment. So
Do you
um,
find that doing quilting on your own versus doing it with a group changes?
yes, yes, definitely. I just think going to a hall somewhere with a lot of other like-minded people, um, it just changes the whole dynamics. It sort of spurs you on. It makes you feel good about things, and you see other people's projects and work, and you're like, oh, I wish I'd bought that material instead of this, which I think we all do. Um, but yeah, I mean, the Zooms have been priceless. They really have. You know, being able to just meet other people virtually. But I don't think there's anything quite like sewing with a group of like-minded people.
Oh, I totally agree with you. And of course, luckily you and I were able to be in the same group
Yes,
together.
exactly. Well, that's where I met you, wasn't it?
Exactly. But my overriding memory of it is, and forgive me, you women are filthy. I mean, I have heard stories of things that make me blush, and I think I'm quite open-minded, but you ladies, I love it.
I think I think I think you're up there with us actually, you know, when we get round to talking about flanges and things like that. Well, you know,
But I love it because the one thing I do certainly miss about the quilting in the new world, for the want of a better expression, is that connection. And I think that's what everybody is missing at the moment, is that
yeah,
connection with each other and with people. And certainly the groups that we had, my goodness, we laughed. All I remember is the laughing.
yeah,
And luckily
exactly.
with the Zooms, it's not quite the same, but it does help a little bit. But I think everybody nowadays it's that human connection, that human
Yeah.
laughter. And God, I miss hugs.
Oh, you know, there's some people that you never want to hug again, don't get me wrong, but you do miss hugging the people you do miss hugging the people that you know just give you the best hugs ever, and I've missed that. You know, Hazel, you know, our dear friend Hazel, I just miss hugging her so much, you know, and
Don't
it's
worry,
just,
Sylvia, I won't hug you again. You're quite safe.
you know, yeah, you give a good hug as well, but obviously we can't at the moment.
Oh. Now we're going to do a couple of things. Can you just show? Now, talk about that really Macintosh style quilt just over your shoulder there. That is beautiful.
This is a wall hanging. I can take it down because it's only over. It's a wall hanging that I did years ago, and this was a great. It may have even been with um Hemel Hempstead Quilters. I think we did it as a day course, and I just love this fabric. I bought it and I hadn't used it for years and years, and so I used it on this design. And this is the this is the iron-on bias. It's not the stuff you make yourself, so I'm not that good.
I have to say that 6 millimeter black. I use the Clover one.
Yeah,
That iron-on
yeah.
one, it's so much easier.
Yeah, and I've got it in all various colours, but I've not used that since I've done this. But I did really enjoy this, and I can tell you when I made it because it was in a, I've got a label on it, 2002.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
so
think it's so important. You've actually raised a really important thing there. For me, I really, really hope people will start labeling their quilts again because it's so important to know where
yeah,
they are, how they come from, how they come to you, and how they came about. I think it's really important.
I agree. You know, I've done quilts well, last year that I finished for three of my great nephews and nieces, which you've quilted for me, and I've actually put labels on those. So it's, you know, as they grow older, they may think of me when they're wrapping themselves in the quilt, and not being able to see them this whole year. It was just nice to send them and then to have pictures of them just sat wrapped up in something you've made for them. So
Well, it's very special to be a tiny part of that, because these are little objects of love that you do
yeah,
just make and put so much of your soul into and just send out into the world.
definitely, definitely. And I just wish that when I was a child, someone had taken the time and effort and love to make me a quilt. I think I would have still had it today, and I hope they do too, but as they grow older. If they don't, I want to know where it is.
Oh, now when you do a quilt, do you plan it, or how do you start a quilt?
I'm not very good at um ideas of making a quilt. I generally use a pattern or an idea from someone else, like the stack and work, it was something that you did. Um, I watch a lot of videos. I have got plans for quilts that I need to make, but I have patterns in mind and I have a written pattern. I'm not very good at being able to see a design. I don't think I'm bad at choosing colours, but actually being able to make my own designs. Like some people are just fantastic. They can just make a quilt and it all comes out of their head. I can't do that, unfortunately. So I do need a pattern, or someone to say to me, why don't you do that with that? That's fine, I can do that. So but yeah, but
Now I'm
um
intrigued now. You said you've got some projects that you have to do and you want to do. What are they?
that's my next great nephew's quilt, Arthur, and that's the fabric that I got from you, the cats one, angry cats.
Oh, yes, yes, Angry Birds.
Yeah. The one. So I've got that all put aside. I'm going to wash the fabrics first though, because the colours are quite bright on them, so I don't want them any chance of them running or anything. But yes, so that's my next quilt. So
Well, I look forward. I think we should find a nice little cat pattern to put on the Angry Birds quilt there.
I'm going to do the same one, the one that I did for one of my nieces, which was the Busy Bee one. Do you remember, with the big squares and then smaller squares? That one.
Oh, I like it. It's a
Yeah.
really lovely quilt, that one. Really
Yeah.
nice.
Yes.
Now, speaking of quilts and designs and things, do you have a fabric designer that you prefer or you really like or inspired by?
Um, there's quite a few. I like Libs Elliot fabric. I like Keith, who doesn't? Um, and French General. I'm quite drawn to French General fabric as well. But for me, if I see a fabric and I like it, I don't care. I don't care who designs it. Oh, Alison Glass as well, obviously. Obs.
Oh,
Obs. But no, I'm if someone's sort of said to me, oh, these are all one designer, these are another, it doesn't mean that I would particularly like one because I like that designer. You might not like that range particularly, but no.
your phone never goes.
Sorry.
We've had my phone go, your phone go, computer collapse. We're doing really well today, Sylvia.
I know. Sorry, I just cut them off.
Nothing wrong with that. So tell me, what's your top tip for people who are just starting out quilting?
My top tip for people is keep at it. Don't be self-critical. Don't look at your work from here. Look at it as you would normally. If you look at this quilt close up, then I could say, well, this bit isn't good, that bit isn't. But you don't do that. So don't be self-critical. Just keep on, and you're doing something. You're making something beautiful that you have actually produced. And the other thing is, if you see fabric you love, buy it there and then. And I have learned to buy. I don't buy less than a meter. I used to buy fat quarters, but I always now tend to buy a meter as a minimum. Minimum.
Well, I was going to say, I of course have very strict rules about what people buy in my shop. I know nothing, but I'm going to go with it's a meter plus.
I see nothing.
Now, my favorite question that I asked Nettie the last time I did, the first time I did an interview was with Nettie. Her reaction was priceless because I got into so much trouble asking this question. So, Alan, look away. Go out the room. There's nothing for you to see here. Sylvia, how big's your stash?
Actually, in the house at this moment in time,
I'm going to leave that up to you.
well, it's a difficult one to say because it's sort of a bit spread out. It's not in one area. So I would say round about
Love it. The voice of the lone husband in the room. All right, we're going to leave that there.
yeah,
Enough to keep you going for a little while,
yeah,
but not
yeah.
enough to last you till the end of the year.
No, but the thing is, buying fabric, notions, anything to do with sewing, it's an investment.
But it's also a very different hobby to quilting.
Yes, it is. And I
It's
mean,
like stamp collecting. You don't go into your stamp collection to post a letter.
no, exactly. That's very good analogy. I have to remember that. But this year as well, I actually last year I treated myself to an overlocker because I've always seen them and thought, oh, I'd love one of those. So I actually bought one last year. And then I got into buying stretch fabrics like jerseys and flannels, things like that. So two of my nieces are expecting this month. So I've been making a whole raft of things for them with my overlocker, little leggings and all different things. And I've really loved it. So I think really I love all sewing.
That is wonderful.
As
And the
long as
thing
it's
is, making
machine.
something for new little babies and things, it just gives you so much joy and you've got so much
Yeah.
love for it.
And they're tiny.
You love a project that ends quickly. I know you do.
I do. I'm quite impatient.
So what's your next project? What are you doing next?
At the moment, I'm cutting up all my fabric scraps into oblongs to make a really truly scrappy quilt. So that's something I'm just cutting up now. I've got a couple of project liners quilts on the go. So I've got to finish those. I've been making the little pull bags for the charity I was telling you about.
Tell us a
And
bit more about that charity because I think it's an
yeah,
extraordinary charity.
I don't know how I found it. I think it was on Facebook, but it's called Beads of Courage, and it's for critically ill children. I don't know quite how it works. I think the parents must subscribe. And for every treatment that the baby or the child goes through, they collect a bead, and the beads are different colours, different sizes to denote different treatments. So if they're isolated, for every day they're isolated, they get, I think it's a white bead. And of course, some of these children go through such horrendous days and treatments, and it's just ongoing. And of course, they need to store those beads somewhere because they get so many. So they're asking for drawstring bags. So that's what I've been doing at the moment, making, I've got about 11 of those here. So these are the smaller ones that I've made. And these just use up fat quarters. So I've used quite a lot of fabric on these. And then the bigger ones, I've just got a whole stack there. I won't show them all. But they do ask you to just put a sort of inspirational message in with each bag that you make as well, so that the child or the parents can read that and know that someone's thinking of them. So I've really enjoyed doing that, in part apart from
Go
machining
on,
through my
tell everybody,
finger.
what did you do?
I machined through my finger again. But I didn't get blood on my project.
Very good. Only very few people in this world could actually sew through their finger and only worry about not getting blood on their finger. But if it was going to be anybody, it'd be a quilter.
Yes, of course. Oh, did I get blood anywhere? All up the wall, but not on my material. That's fine.
Well, please don't do that again.
No,
Can we get a
well,
little guard for your machine, please?
Well, I've got my husband well trained now, because the first time I did it, he sort of ran around in a blind panic, and I was just saying, man up and get some pliers and pull this out. And this time he just went straight to the cupboard and got the pliers and pulled the needle out. So
Yeah, I think we're going to stop there because needles sticking out your finger. That's dedication to one's craft, my dear. Oh. So what's been your biggest mistake or biggest regret in quilting?
I don't think I have any. I don't believe in regrets. I think once you've done something, it's gone. I don't think that you should actually regret anything you've ever done or not done or whatever, because it's just a waste of time as far as I'm concerned. I don't think I regret anything.
That is brilliant. And that's a nice way to live, because
Yeah,
every single experience takes you to where you are now, and that's who you are.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, there's so many pluses. I think, regrets would be a waste of time.
Love that. Now, if you had to end off as a message to new quilters, people looking to start, what would you tell them?
Go for it. Just go for it. Enjoy it. Pick a small project to start with. Some people, they start quilting and go for a king size quilt, which is great if you could do that. But for me, I'd want to start small. I started quilting. I went to a day release course. I went part-time at work, had some time, and I went to a college course. And I learned from basics, where you drew designs, you colored them, you made up your templates, you hand sewed them. And the material I chose at that time, I never made it into an actual quilt. It was meant to be a sampler quilt, because my fabric choices weren't. My choice in fabrics has changed so much over the years. So I think pick fabrics you love, pick some that work together, and make a small project that you can use, and just go for it and enjoy it and be proud of yourself, because you're doing something that a lot of people won't be able to.
Well, I think that's a beautiful way to end it. And again, from the bottom of my heart, you have been the heart and soul of my life in the last year. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And I just need to say as well, um, you know, you through lockdown and continually now into this year, you've just kept so many people going by doing your Facebook lives every day. People look forward to that, and thank you from me, thank you from a lot of other people as well. Thank you for your friendship. I value that so much. So
And I
thank
think
you.
that's you've hit the nail on the head there. It's friendship, and this is
Yes,
quilting to me is love and friendship, and
yes.
this is the whole reason I wanted to do this podcast, because I can tell everybody how amazing I think you are, and you will think the interview you've just done is dreadful, and you won't see any good in it at all. You won't watch it. You'll say it's terrible. You'll say I look terrible, but many people will look and actually be inspired by the passion that you have for this, and you don't see it. And
No.
so many women like you don't see the passion and the love and energy and the joy that you bring. And that's
Oh.
why I do it, because it just brings me so much joy being able to see and be a part of this incredible journey everybody's on.
But that has a knock-on effect to other people. If I can just go back to when we did the Bargello, and that was quite early on, when I didn't know you particularly well at that time. And I remember when the lady kept coming in. We had to do the retakes all the time, and we had to keep saying morning, morning, morning. And about the 10th time, we were saying, oh, for God's sake, morning. And then when we put the Bargello together, and we were all sewing like mad, and then that final moment when it was, you sewed the final row and it was laid out, and we looked at it, and you were teared up. I think everybody in the room was just so emotional to actually see that beautiful piece of work actually finished, and we'd all been part of that, and it was just fantastic. And I
It
think,
was incredible. It was an
yeah,
amazing thing. I've actually just, as you were saying that, this is a photo of us
yeah,
at the end of that
yeah.
day, and it's an extraordinary moment. It
You
was
may
just
not
so
you may
wonderful.
not recognise me, because I'm standing behind Lady Josephine, and I stopped dyeing my hair during the last lockdown.
No, you
So
stopped dyeing your hair 2 weeks before the lockdown.
yes, I did in December actually. So yes, but no.
Well, Sylvia, I cannot thank you enough for your time today. I can't thank you enough for being part of our wonderful journey
Oh,
together.
thank you.
You are definitely the heartbeat of this place, if not
Oh,
the,
thank you.
I don't know whether we want to say the hammer that keeps us all going.
Are you saying I'm bossy?
I'll say whatever you tell me to say, Sylvia.
No, it's been lovely, thank you. And it wasn't half as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, you were brilliant. Well, have an amazing evening.
Yeah.
All the
Thanks,
best for
darling.
2021.
Yeah, and you, darling, as well. See you soon.
Lots of love. Keep
Thank
well.
you. Bye. Bye.
Bye.